Welcome, everyone. We're so glad to share this time with you. Get ready to restore your inner warrior.
Hey. Welcome back. Welcome back to Raw, Restoring Awesome Warriors. I'm your host, Jackie H., and I'm here with my co-host, Gail Barron, the judge. Gail, how you doing today?
I'm well. I'm doing well. How about you?
Okay. I'm doing good. Seemed like the snow melted. We got a nice day down here. I'm in Baltimore, so they didn't get as much snow we got there in Pennsylvania. So how's it looking there?
It it mattered a lot today with the sun. So yesterday was pretty bad, but today it's cleared up a whole lot.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I was surprised when I got down here. It wasn't nothing at all. Well, we're gonna get started because we want to maximize the time and the moment that we have with our special guest today. I think I've known this gentleman ever since 1968. Yeah. What year you met him?
Um, I think I met about 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Okay. All right.
Like,
well, anyway, I am happy today to have one of our very own um talking with us. We said we are going to walk through this year dealing with some subject of helping people and not only spiritually and doing things church wise, but we have to realize that we have a natural side. And he taught a lesson on the total man. And I found a subject that I've talked to a lot of people about, and is I didn't realize that many people dealt with debt. If it's school loans, different things, um, just stressed out over debt. So we're gonna um, talk with him today, and I'm gonna bring him on because I think we've been waiting for this a long time. I'm gonna tell my story once he get on here about the debt that he walked me through. But anyway, I want you all to welcome Bishop Derric Wright from Infinite Wonders Ministry, but I know him from Delhi Street. Okay. It's Thomas Wright and
Well,
Leslie Wright, second to the baby son. Michael gonna tell you he the baby, and this the next one. But Derek, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How y'all
Okay,
doing?
we
fine.
doing good, doing good. Um, I'm glad to have you today. This is one of these tough subjects for a lot of people, but I realize that a lot of people are stressing over debt, and not only stressing over, but they don't even know where to start to how to even tackle it. So I remember, it was probably a few years ago that I was going through this, and you walked me through some things to lessen the stress and gave me a plan of action to take to try to, you know, get out of it, and I felt much better about it, and I want to share that with others because sometimes people just don't know. And whether it's our fault that we got into it or things happen, we understand that, but we're going to share the information anyway. But before we do that, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and I say that you are financial planner and all that. I'll give you titles, but I know that's not the right title. But I know you walked us through a lot of things, so I give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell exactly who you are, and then we'll get started.
Yes, I'm happy for being here. Thank you for having me. And so, as you mentioned, there's a lot of things that we can say about where we've been and what I've done. But this topic tonight is one of my favorites, and it's most important. Again, as you mentioned, I'm not a financial planner or an investment advisor. I've just been simply sharing out of my lived experience, right?
Mhm.
This is my lived experience. And as a person who believes in the total man, I like what you said at the beginning, that you have your spiritual side, we sometimes compartmentalize ourselves. But when you go home, you still got to pay the bills, you still got to live, so it's the total person, which is really what I love. And financial debt and dealing with finances is a huge thing for years, and especially now in the economy that we're living in. So it's as much important now than it has ever been. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. I know back in 2017 is when I started a journey of becoming debt free, and I'm very happy to share some of that story and then give some pointers, just some practical tips on what we can do to address this most important topic. So just extremely happy to be here, ready to jump in. So
Okay, Gil, you have anything from the start, or let I get started? If you have anything you want to say.
What I will say before he gets started is that it does work. Um, Plan your work and work your plan. And we have worked it in our home and for a couple of years now. So it has been liberating um, to not have. So we're not out of debt completely, but we have definitely took the process, and we know that the process do work, and it's such a relief, a stress reliever when you can live without all this over your head. So I'm appreciative, and I'm glad that we are doing it for others, and teaching others what we did uh, accom- uh, to accomplish this. So it's a good thing, and I'm looking forward to revisit it again.
So I would like to start off. I'm going to put myself as the student and put myself on the block to what happened to me, and maybe somebody can resonate. That because sometimes shame and pride would keep you from getting help. So it came at a time. I worked all our lives. We was trained to work all our lives, and had a job and everything. But life happened when I had to. When my father took sick and our mother took sick during those times, I came off of working full time and a part time job to really going down to had no job. My husband said that I can go ahead and take care of my mother and my father, and he would um, carry the household. But anyone know when you have bills and stuff, you do the best you can, but you can't really make it with a one person household. It's kind of um, really hard to do when one person is working in the home, and that's what was going on. So a lot of bills went undone, unpaid, lack of um, having the money. They come up with then we come up with the terms of robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we make excuses or things that keep us going. Um, we're in survival mode at this point. So a lot of the bills got backed up. So instead of using my credit cards for emergency and stuff, it became this is how I was living. So I was living off the credit cards. So once you don't pay monthly, then you got the interest, you got different stuff there. So this went down a road for about 2 years. So about 2 years, it was stressful. I knew how to do enough to get by. But then it came too much. After a while, I was just stressed, watching out what bill's gonna get cut off, what's going, it was a lot. So my brother came to me, Bishop Wright, and said, I think one day I was asking him about helping me to get a bill turned on. I probably was electric or gas or something. And he said, "How's your budget?" And I was like, on the budget, on the income that I don't have no budget. And what it started, this is how the conversation started. I don't have a budget. I'm not even making enough to be on the budget. He said, whatever you make, you can do a budget. But you have to change your mindset. And that's when things changed for me. I left the pride, I left the shame, and he started asking me different questions about list your bills down, put all your debts down. I was too embarrassed to put that down because but this is what you have to face when you're trying to on the road to recovery. So it is embarrassment, but I did it because I trusted him. So sometimes you can do things even if you've done wrong things, but when you have someone that that's really invested in you and care. So I went through this process of writing down all my bills and everything that he told me to do. And I don't know if you want to take over from here for what you told me, but he let me know whatever you on, you could start tackling these bills to come out of debt. And that's how I got out of debt because it was a lot. And then it became stressful. And then I started, even after I got a job back, because it was a habit of paying Peter, robbing Paul, I stayed on that mentality when I didn't have to. So that's another thing where if you're doing better, you got to do better and you have to change your mindset. So that's where I'm at, Pastor, with what you did for me. And I would like to share that with others because some people don't think they even could come up out of the situation that they're in. I'm not making enough. I don't make enough money. There's all kinds of excuses, but you can get started somewhere.
Yeah. No, you both make some very, very good points, and I'll try to weave it in as we go forward, Jackie. But before I go there, let me just say this, that you can start wherever you are. And before I come across, because I don't want this to come across in any way that I had it all together, in 2002, I hit what I would call rock bottom, right? Some of you may know about having car payments that are living above your means. I don't know if any of you have had to, or you didn't have to, but to dodge the repo man, you park your car in other places. So I did that for about a year because I couldn't pay my car note. I had a home that I jumped into on Bell Avenue. The bills were piling up and I was living above my means. I looked out the window one day. I said, I was tired of parking around the corners and all. And I looked out my window one day. I heard the clanking of chains and I peeked out the window and they had my car and it was going off out of my driveway. And I remember sitting there and saying, I can't continue to do this. And it wasn't about not making enough. It was, I was living above my means. Personally, I just want to tell a bit of my story. I didn't start here, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing I want to share is that personal finance, y'all listen to this, is 80% behavior, 20% math. I'm gonna say that again. Personal finance is 80% behavior. All of what you both said is behavioral. 20% math. And that to me helped me eliminate the thought that, well, I don't make enough. I was of the same mindset that you had. A budget is for someone who has extra to be able to make a budget, until I began to study it. And a budget is, I found out that a budget is simply you telling your money where to go versus trying to figure out where it went. When that resonated with me, you telling your money where to go, no matter how much you make, versus at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, trying to figure out where it went. Leaks. You ever leave? I used to get $20 out of the, they call it the Mac machine back then, and I come home and I put change on the dresser. Like, what did you do with the $10, the $20? You chip. And so I wasn't intentional about where my money went. So that's the first thing. I made a decision. It wasn't emotional. It was just a decision. I can't do this. And at that time, I wasn't making a lot. But even the money that I had, I wasn't disciplined about it. You know why? Because we were taught to work. I had 3 jobs. I would work. And so I outperformed I made enough to cover a lack of discipline. But when I had to stop working the 2 and 3 jobs, I was going from one job to the next, and I was able to cover my foolishness. But it wasn't a plan. And so that's the first thing. When you coming full circle to what you're talking about, I had started a debt-free process in 2000. I eliminated my debt. In 2003, it was right back to where it was. So, shame, as you both talked about, hiding, don't want to let people know where you are, that is of utmost importance. So let me just say this. What I learned, Jackie, is Gail talked about this. As you are eliminating debt, all right, there's so much. I know we probably have to do this in bite-sized chunks because we can't get it all done in one night. I'm just trying to see what the best things we can talk about. You talked about a step-by-step process. So first thing is, freedom is rarely about how much you make. It really is about behavior. I want to stress that because I was looking at it as a math problem. I didn't realize that it was a behavior problem, a cultural problem. The robbing Peter to pay Paul, as you mentioned, right? Instead of saying, you know what, you can't afford that, Derric. And I'm not talking about anyone, I'm talking about me. You can't afford that. So I was financing my future. I was financing it versus saying, you know what? They taught us growing up, if you can't pay for it, then you can't afford it, right? Credit cards, student loans. I had credit cards, student loans, car note, home, mortgage. I went to college at one point, and it looked like they pushed the credit cards everywhere on college campuses. So I had at one point 10 credit cards, Abraham and Strauss, Macy's, Sears. So every application that I saw, literally, I applied for. And I had about 10, probably 12 credit cards. And by the time I figured it out, they were all maxed out because I was financing my desires. It wasn't need. It was just what I wanted. And it was really the inability for me to delay gratification. And so I'm just saying how I ended up there. So now I got this problem. What do you do with it? I only make a certain amount of money. What do you do with it? And so I began to change my behavior. So becoming debt free, before we get there in just the next couple minutes, when I talk about debt, I'm talking about credit cards, like you mentioned, student loans, things that you can pay off. We're not talking about your expenses, meaning, your utility bill, your gas, your water, your electric. Although there's some things we can do to kind of bring that down, but that's a recurring thing that you're going to have. Utilities. We're talking about credit card, things that you can pay off. All right. So let's get rid of the shame. And this is where we are. All of us have been there and been here, right? So what do we do now? So it's not about how I got here, okay, and keep going over why I'm here, how I got here, the shame and all of that. Right now, Jackie, Gail, I started a process in 2017. I said, enough is enough. I looked up financial planners and all of this, and I settled on, and I'll mention his name, although there are some things that I've tweaked. Some of you may have heard of Dave Ramsey, and he has Financial Peace, and we did a Financial Peace University where we brought the training in, and we sat down and thought it through. And Dave has what's called a debt snowball. This is what you're talking about, where the first thing you do is, okay, you got to face the music. What do I even know where all of my debt lie? So I had to go find my debt, every credit card. Just find it and list it. You were talking about, so if you don't mind, when you came to me, here's some ones that you had. Montgomery Ward. Y'all remember that? Montgomery Ward, Sears, Goodyear, student loan, right? On and on and on. And they were considerable amount. But what we did was, okay, let's find out all of our debt, list it, and the amounts owed. That's the first step. Don't try to do anything with it. Just see where you are and list it. Then the second thing we did was, okay, take those debt, say if it's 10 of them, and you list them in the order of smallest to largest. So if your smallest debt is $200, all the way up to, I ain't gonna look at your numbers here, but it was some numbers. I'll tell you mine. It was thousands. So I'm not talking from the side of my head. I'm talking of lived experience. When I looked at the debt, when I lined it up, I said to myself, there's no way I can do this. It was that much. But here's the thing. When you line it up, like if it's $150 all the way up to, if your student loan, some people have student loan debt that's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Don't worry about, I can never get out of this. Just list it from the least amount to the greatest amount. And here's where the magic is. It's not a overnight thing. You didn't get into it overnight, and it's not going to happen and come out of it overnight. It's just consistent, disciplined work. What you and I did it first. Here's what I recommend it to you, because I'm a big proponent of not recommending something that you haven't done, that you haven't tried, right? There's a lot of people that give advice, but have you done it? So I listed all of the debt. And okay, some people do it this way, Jackie. Some people take and they put $10 on this one, $15 extra, 15, and they spread out and keep playing extra, but the interest swallows that up, and you get the bill the next month, and nothing changes, and it gets frustrating. So this debt snowball, I'm just going to talk about that for a minute, and then maybe if we have time, just how to create a small budget. But the debt snowball, list your debt from least to greatest, right? And then say, for instance, that $200 debt or that $100 debt, whatever the smallest debt is. what you're going to do is you're going to pay the minimum, not extra, the minimum on all the other debt. But that least amount, what you're going to do is you're going to find money wherever you can. Every extra dime that you have, you're going to apply it to that $100 to eliminate that first one. You know what this does? It gives you momentum because it's behavior. When you eliminate that $100, like, oh my goodness, that's gone. But don't rejoice. Don't jump up and go spend money. Take that same money that you were spending to attack that 100, right? And then start applying it to the 300, the next one. That's the debt snowball. And when I begin to see it start wiping out, I'm like, man, I can do this. And it created momentum. If you start, let me put a little bit over here, a little bit over here, and nothing ever happens, you get frustrated. It's not the only way, but this is a way, and it's called the debt snowball. And it's disciplined, orderly, and you knock them off one at a time. What happened to me, and I believe the same for you, is when you start seeing the debt go off, it creates endorphins. It creates a sense of momentum, and you can keep going. Versus you want to have low-hanging fruit. We're wired that way. We're wired that if you don't have success, or if it's the same thing over and over again, you get frustrated, throw in the towel. Oh, this ain't going to work. Now, here's the thing. Whatever you make, like I said, I repos and all of these things, and it was to a point where, Derric, you're living above your mean. You when you saw me coming, you saw everything I own, and I mean that because that's behavioral, that's cultural. I had to look the part. I wanted the sheepskin coat. I wanted the gazelles. I wanted the Timberlands, and I wanted, me and my little brother Mike, we down at Caesar's Palace when Gucci was Gucci. I couldn't afford that. But I financed it. But I had to look the part. But then the bills came due.
Yeah.
And then here I am trying to find and get a car and get a thing. And my interest rate was so high because my credit was shattered. So it's a recurring thing. So the debt that we're talking about, here's the thing. You can start wherever you are. You do make enough. If you make $1,000, if you make $500, you can put $1 away, $5. It's the discipline of it versus, well, yeah, they make this much. Of course they can do that. I made all kinds of excuses for why I couldn't do certain things until it really came. Derric, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of going into your credit is shot. You're going to go down there and apply for something and no one go, and you twiddling your thumbs and trying to figure out if they're going to approve it or not. And if they do approve it, the interest rate was so high. And I know that's a lot of people's experience, but it don't have to be that way. And we can start little at a time. I'll pause there for a sec, Jack. But the main thing was the debt snowball. That's what he called it. And you gain momentum. Don't try to let me put $5 extra here, $5 extra here, because it won't add up. If you attack that first one, and once that's eliminated, take the same minimum that you're paying there and the extra that you were paying on the $100 bill, take that plus the minimum that you were already paying on the next bill and attack that one. Once that eliminated, you take, because if you got an $8,000 bill or $10,000 bill and you start there, the momentum, and it gets frustrating because you won't see progress soon enough because you're actually changing your behavior. You're changing your behavior. And if you get frustrated, it's easy to throw in the towel, like, this is not working. Right. And so I'll stop there for a minute. But the first thing about becoming debt free, it starts with a decision, not a dollar.
That helped me. That's what changed me. I don't know what year it was, but I remember that lesson. And I'm telling those who's on the line that momentum will keep you going. That do work because I didn't see a way. I did, I know what you told me, but I didn't see how this was going to happen. And then there was some cards. Well, I was in the military, so they gave me. I was like, I guess what you got in college. Every credit card that they can give you because they know they got you for 6 years. So you just apply. But some of them was so high, especially that Sears. I don't even know why I had a Sears card, but just because I could get it, I got it. And um their interest is very high. And I remember Daddy having one, and I just remember him complaining about I just paid this money on this, and it don't look like it because it all went to the interest. But that helped. That
Yeah.
helped. So I totally agree with the mindset. Once I changed my mind and I had confidence in who told me. And I say that because a lot of people you can go tell something, and because they don't trust, it
Yes.
don't even sound right. It's too hard. But find someone, and that's why I'm hoping that this is helping someone that if you see that 2 people or 3 people done it, that you say I can do it too, and just try it. Um, that came along with the savings too. I didn't think I mean, at the time I wasn't working. So to tell me to put away $1 and you only had 10, you can't see it. But when your mind, it's the mind, it's the behavior. What you gotta say, Gail?
No, couple of words he stated, and one was cultural. And so both of you named two credit cards you had, and I know it was cultural. That Sears, because that's what Daddy used, and Goodyear's for your tires. So you wouldn't look at it was the interest was high. You didn't look at none of that. It was just the fact that Daddy got it, so I'm gonna get it. So, but this is education and teaching us about these credit cards, the interest rate, because you be paying money, but you're paying it just to the interest and not to the principal. I like the snowball effect of if you got a bill, whatever your lowest bill is, um, strive to pay that off.
Yeah.
The bigger bills, it'll take more, but it'll alleviate the frustration. But once you see that something is getting accomplished, it'll motivate you to try the next one.
Yeah.
So discipline and consistency, no matter what it looks like, just keep going because after a while you will see what you're looking for, and it does slowly but surely it will come down.
Yes. That's so
That-
true, Gail. And I'll just say this. I know Jackie wants to say something because it I don't know if people really understand what's happening to them. It's psychological. Momentum is psychological, and once you get a sense of accomplishment when one of them is off, like I never thought, and you start seeing it disappear, and the discipline comes in. Don't take the extra money with the bill that and go do something else. Stick with it, and you'll begin to see. And that bill that's at the bottom, by the time you get there, all the money that the minimum of payments that you were making on, let's say the 6 above, you've taken all of that and you're applying it to that extra, to that bill, the next one. And I'm saying something, this is a lived experience. This is not a fairy tale. This is exactly what I've lived and what I've done. And it works, as you said, and it helped me help others. And to this day, it's been, so I started in 2017 and I said, Jackie, I didn't think it was I could do it because it was so much. At that time, I don't know if you guys remember, because I had not only had our own debt, but we were building the ministry. So all of the construction, all of that, we didn't have a whole bunch of people. So I got Home Depots, the Lowe's, the everything, even recently to actually help with the building materials and all of that stuff on my account. And it's the last thing I'll say is on this area is when you stick to it. January 2017, I put a stake in the ground. March 2024, it was completed. 7 years. So it's not an overnight. Sometimes it's going to take, that was 7 years, but the sticking to it and the momentum, it helped. And 7 years later, we were able to say, it's all done.
Yeah. I also remember you, this was really something you told me to take 2 years of my income tax. What you told me was, when you get your income tax, apply that to something. You know how some people wait for their income tax and they doing different things. And you said you didn't have that money anyway. So since it's coming back, even when we get a raise, take that raise, your money the extra that you get every year, and apply that to something. It was just discipline. I've always planned for my income tax, but those 2 years, I put that toward my bill to get it paid off. So sometimes you got to sacrifice, you got to do things, but it do cause you to change your behavior, and you can do what you think you can't do, because it was vacation planning for the income tax. It was always something with it. But those 2 years, I remember you said it just take 2 years and try to get out of this. And I might not have had as much as you had, because I didn't have a student loan, nothing. But I had accumulated enough up to that it probably added to a student loan, but it wasn't a student loan. But getting built, and reason I brought in the utility bills, because some people have a bad habit with that too, added onto your debt, because you're putting children names on the you done messed up yours, and now your phone bill is in your kid's name, and so it's just piled up and not paid. And I'm saying this was on my mind, stressing, because even though you use someone else's name for the gas bill, that gas bill is still in your name. So I had to add, he told me to add that to the list. So it wasn't just the debt of credit cards and stuff. It was all the stuff that I was messing up. But I wasn't messing up intentionally. This is what I want to say. Some people is just negligent. This was because some people, this is the only way they have to live. And I get it. But when you do better, you have to
Better.
I think that's part of the Bible, or part of the scripture of, oh no man. You can't go around just messing up stuff and then just don't want to look at it. You use that stuff. I use that electric. I use that credit card. Matter of fact, I think a couple of people, I need to get the bikes back that I bought on the, daddy used Sears to get necessity stuff. He had it for this. I was just freewheeling. Like, if you need a bike, here you go. You what you need. It wasn't even about necessity. So sometimes you have to check in your motive too of having things. If you can't pay for it within a month, they told me you shouldn't. You don't need it. We had layaways back there. Plan for what you want. So not only living beneath your means, but if you want something, you see a pair of shoes that you want, the red bottom shoes, okay, plan for it. Or if you can't pay that back within that month or 2 months, whatever that they said, but it's discipline. It is a behavior thing. But yeah, I brought a lot of bikes off of Sears. It wasn't necessity stuff. But and the gas bill that was cut off, and then you go change your last name. I'm telling you what I did. This is embarrassment, but I know people who go through this. But after a while, you have to stop. You have to stop messing up people's name. You have to stop doing this and try to get it together, because you can. It can work. It can work. We want a healthier way to do things, the right way.
And
And this is not,
because it's so like he said, cultural. Um, thank I thank you for your transparency. So now I see, because Daddy was always the stickler for his credit, for all of that, and a good name. But when you get grown, um, we don't always believe what somebody say. And he mentioned about him and Michael being down there with the Gucci. You want to look the part. You want to. He said when he came with everything he owned. So, but that's something to teach our younger generation, especially coming out of college or starting a family. You cannot, it's not wise to do that. You have all this debt, and then because it's learned behavior, somebody else is going to take that on. So don't follow the Gucci's and the, whatever the name brand is out there, in the biggest house on the block. What? No, if you can't afford it, get you a tent where you will lay down in peace, versus a 5-bedroom house or something like that, and your income can't cover it. Now you with stress and burnt out. It's Daddy used to always tell us little is much. So I've learned that a lot of stuff is not necessary. You will have great peace of mind not living above your means and not keeping up with the Joneses, because those credit cards and that interest with them, all that, it's just not worth it.
let me say this, for those that may be listening, a couple practical points or steps I want to share with you for your consideration. Because I had all the excuses for me in my head why I couldn't do certain things. But I had this book, it was called, a part of it was called Learning to See. And when you see it in front of you, it's like, wow. So let me give you a couple steps for those of you who are taking notes. It's just something simple. And all it is behavioral, right? The first thing I want you to do is just for 30 days. And as a matter of fact, we're coming up on March, right? So this will give you a few days to get whether or not you want to do it or not. So take the month of March, 1 month. And I want you, you don't have to do something elaborate. I want you to track every dollar that you spend for 30 days. That's it. I want you to track every dollar that you spend for 30 days. The second thing I want you to think about is I want you to stop adding new debt immediately. Don't apply for, as they used to tell us back in the day, not another credit card. Don't do nothing for 30 days. Just stop. Right? Two things. That's it. Track every dollar. And I know some of you have old shoe boxes. And I'm talking, you don't have to have no nothing elaborate, a shoe box. And I want you to make a habit of when you spend, as you're tracking, just ask, may I have a receipt, please? May I have a receipt? Just ask for a receipt. And I want you to take that receipt and put it in the shoebox. You ain't got to look at it. You ain't got to, just discipline. You want to track every dollar and you want to ask for a receipt. If we can do that for just 30 days, and I promise you, when you look at, because down the road, we'll say, okay, did you need this? Did you need that? We don't want to have that now, because some people they get defensive. Oh, I needed that. No, don't make no decisions. You know, we're not saying you don't need it or you do need it, or I can't tell you what you need or what your lifestyle is and all of that. And we're not attempting to do that. But just, I want you to track. Sometimes if you give somebody this much to do, and it's like, oh, I can't do all of that. But just two things. Track every dollar that you spend, and I want you to ask for a receipt. And put the receipt in a shoebox, a glad bag. I don't care what, just put it off for 1 month. Jackie, if there's an opportunity that I can send some things after with your audience, you can, because another thing is this is a introduction to something, and this takes time. Because when you're changing behavior, you don't realize that when we didn't just, they say Rome wasn't built in a day. We didn't get, everybody's in different places. So everybody's done did something. So there's no shame, right? But to start somewhere, we didn't get here overnight, and it's not going to end overnight. So track every dollar. And then if you make $100, I want you to earmark and target to save 10.
I just get it.
If that's too much, I want you to save $1. I need you to hear me. The amount doesn't change the habit. The habit changes the outcome. We're talking principle. If you make $100, can you save 10? Can you save 5? Can you save $1? It's important to start. From a budget perspective, Jackie, we talked about when I reframed my thought about a budget, it helped me because I had the same thought that you had. Only people that create budgets, I don't know where I got this from. Only people that create budgets were people that had enough extra, and yeah, you can make a budget because you make this much an amount of money.
Right.
But when I listened to this phrase from, and I got it from Dave Ramsey, he said a budget is simply, listen to this, y'all, telling your money where to go versus trying to figure out where it went. At the end of the month, and I know I made, where did it go? So before we even get into creating a budget and all of that, just the first step that I said, track your spending, because you are the only one that's going to be able to see it and look at it and say, wait a minute, nobody can tell me I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And one other clarification, and I'll give it back to you because there's so much we can talk about. When you talk about expenses, and I know this is not over anyone's head, I want you to think about this. There are what's called fixed expenses, and then there are variable, right? Fixed, essentials, and variable. What is a fixed? If most of you have an apartment or a house or a mortgage, that mortgage is a fixed bill. Your utilities, whether they're high or low, it's still a fixed every month. Your food. Okay. Now here's it. This is going to change some things because I for that period of time, we stopped eating out a lot. So the same money, it was just, okay, I'm going to, we can cook a couple extra meals versus, right? But I know people, their lifestyles are busy and got all kinds of things. So you got to do what works for you and but these are just some ideas. If you drive, your car note, that's every month. That don't fluctuate up and down. You're in it, you got it. That's it. Gas, your fuel for your car. Insurance, right? So these are the fixed things. The variable things are, we'll talk about that later. But those are, I think, some immediate steps that you can start right now. And that very first thing that I did was track I did it for 90 days, but we're not going there. 30 days, just track every dollar that you spend. And if you can develop a habit, it said it takes 21 days, probably more to develop a good habit. The habit is having a receipt. Just don't look at it. You just get the receipt for what you spend and put it in that box. That's all you got to remember to do. Whatever you spend, get a receipt, put it in the box. We're talking baby steps. Because if you give people to do all of this and it's just too much. I got life. I got too much going on. It's just too much. Just little baby steps. And it's not an overnight thing. And we can come back and just chip away at it. Little is much, little by little. But if you don't take the time to at least be a little disciplined and start creating a different and new habit, then it's going to be a revolving door. So we try to give you bite-sized chunks. Yeah, we want to get debt-free, and that does amazing things for your psyche, your relief, and a lot of people are stressed out. Okay, you're here now. That's the goal. But how do we get there? You don't get there overnight. It's step by step, little by little. So if I had to, there's so much more we can talk about, but if I had to offer that, just 30 days, and it's a great time because March is coming up. Set your mind, get yourself together, track every dime that I spend for 30 days and ask for a receipt. And don't fill out another credit card application for 30. Don't do nothing. Don't add any new debt for at least 30 days. If you can do that, just stop. And then, because you got to stop the bleeding. We got to stop the leaking. You got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we're all the same. No one has a monopoly on how to get it done. You got to work with what's within your purview, but you can do something, and it is behavioral. And last thing I'll say, but I'll give it back to you. Personal finance. I want y'all to hear this. It's 80% behavior, 20% math. 80% behavior, 20% math. Is not a math problem. It's not a math problem. It is a behavioral concern. And I will be praying for those that are listening, because contentment is very important, right? Because sometimes we have our needs, right? We have wants and we have needs. We're talking about I'm in the wants category right now. There are some needs that we have. You got to feed the children. There are needs. I'm talking mainly about wants, things that we don't need right now. And only you can see what and say what that is. Stop the wants. What is a need and what is a want? And ultimately, it's about, am I content? Because I'm striving. Both of you talked about keeping up with the Joneses. We talk about that. That is looking over the fence. They got one. I need two. But that's not a need. It's not a condemning thing. It's just a reality. Am I content with what I have? My children need food. I need to pay my bills. We're already here now, but let's differentiate a want from a need. And we start small, because it is behavioral. And this, again, we didn't get this way overnight. It took me 7 years plus. One failure, because I started it in 2002. Got down the road, and because I did not, I didn't commit it to my behavior, I started back. And next thing I know, the bills the debt was right back. But this time, from 2017 to 2024, I today, just by discipline and contentment, have remained debt free. I don't like that feeling. And all the work that I put in, I said I'm not. And this is easy. There are things that I wanted. I want a motorhome. I want a motorhome. And this last year, there was a guy on the job. He had a motorhome for me. It was a good price, and I could have took out a loan to get it. And I came home and asked my wife. And I was trying to beat around the bush. And that's the other thing. I have support, because if she had said, you know what, you deserve it. You work hard. You can go ahead. I would have went and got that thing. But she said, well, I think we should probably stick to the plan that we had. It was just something small. And I went and told him, Jerry, I can't do it. But if she had that night, I think I would have. So it's not a one and done, and you're not going to be tempted. That's where that discipline comes in. You know what? I like not having this stuff over my head. I like this thought, and I have more options. I don't have to go out and find this job and do this and do that because of discipline and what I've stuck to. And now today, I don't have that. I have the freedom. Credit score is great, but I don't need, because to your point, if I can't afford it, then you have to really think, do I need it? If I can't pay it off in a month, think about that. So I'll stop there, Jack.
I thought about something when you was talking. Okay, so y'all got me talking Bible, all right? You and Gil, I got to give this to y'all. But when Moses told the people when the manna was coming down, they say, take just enough for your house. Don't take no more. If you got 7 people in your house, just get enough for 7. I think he was teaching us principles then. Just do what you need for your house, or whatever it is. The thing of it is, looking over the fence, you don't have 7 people in your family, so you don't need to collect all this manna today for you only have 3, so you collect enough for 1. But there's different things throughout the Bible that teach that principle. We keep going back to behavior. Everything is about how you think. We got in this trouble. I got in trouble because of how I think. Even if I wonder if it's cultural or want to look the best and want to have the best, can't afford it. It's that behavior thinking. So that's why I named it How to Start the Process.
Yeah.
You keep saying you 7 years it took you. I know it was 3. It was 2.5 years that you helped me through it. So it's not something you're going to start today and it's going to be done tomorrow.
Right.
So that's how we look at it. Get in the process. Just get in the process. So you gave us something to start with. For a whole month, let's just collect receipts. I don't even have to worry about trying to get out of debt. Just collect the receipts. So it relieves trying to do a whole bunch. I just got one assignment. So for you all who wants to start, that's all he started with, saying, do the smallest, the littlest thing. So we just for a month, going to collect receipts. And I'm praying, I'm hoping that you'll come back. And even if it's once a month, twice a month, that we can do a journey, because it was a journey. Somebody, and then you said about your wife sticking with you, have an accountability partner.
Yeah.
That's what you was to me. With your paper, Jack, what you got down on the paper? And I was like, I ain't wrote nothing in 2 weeks on this paper, but you kept asking me, what you done got cut off, what you finished with this month. So you need that person to help you to even get in the process of changing your behavior, because I done done it so long that it was habit. Soon as I paid that one bill off, okay, I got extra money, I can go get something. No, put that extra to the next bill. So you need somebody to just continue till you get habit forming. You say 21 days, they told me 90. Three months to try to change how you used to do things. You just
I was gonna give them 90, but I said,
well, that's what you told me. At that stage that I was in, crying and everything, you said 90 days. I never forget. You said 3 months. Let's try for 3 months. And every month you ask me, where's that paper? What you wrote down now? But it was somebody sticking with you. So I'm big on accountability, changing your mindset, and want more for yourself. And just because, and I'm going to go down to this to say, because we are people of color, I'm speaking to my people. We think we can't do something because I come from the hood. I come from this. I could look. You're talking to examples. This is an example right here. I try to get people on here that can show you we all came from the same block. So it's eliminating excuses.
Yeah.
If you try hard enough, somebody help you. Because once somebody see you trying, you have the help. So it doesn't matter where you come from, where you've been. You have just as much opportunity, and is everybody starting off at the same playing field.
And don't overcomplicate it.
Don't
Don't
overcomplicate.
overcomplicate it. The
The only
reason
thing I'm
why,
gonna do is do receipts.
right, instead of
That's all I'm
90
gonna do.
days, 30 days, just start. And that's just
Yeah.
about tracking your spending. And the idea is for you to see at the end of the, like, I don't believe how many I went to Dunkin' Donuts how many times? Versus I could have saved that money, got me a Keurig, and maybe just little things that add up, that I need to do this. And it's just tracking your own spending. No one is telling you that you did something wrong. You'll make the, when I looked at my tracking, my spending was different from yours, so different from the next person. But I'm like, this is a lot that I'm unconsciously doing, but the effect is there. So I love to starting small, little by little, and that psychological effect of gaining momentum. I can do this. And when you knock off, there's nothing like when you take one of that smallest bill, and it's that you've been petting for 4 years, $10 here, and it's the $100 never go nowhere because you're doing the minimum. Once that's done, like, you know what, that thing been around for 3 years, it's gone. Mm-hmm. Now go to the next one. Oh my goodness, that's been around for 4 years. But most people just pay a minimum. Then they throw sporadically an extra here, and they don't realize how it works. The interest suck it right up, and it's like you did nothing. Mm-hmm. But that concentrated focus, everybody can do something. That's the main thing. If you make $500, if you make $1,000, you make $10. You, based on what you make, you can save something. I'm convinced. 50 cents is the principle. It's the principle, and consistent with it, and don't go touch it. So we have to create habits, new habits and behavior. And I had a note here about discouragement. You know, I was thinking about, did I feel discouraged during my journey? Yes. Some months the progress felt slow. I didn't add new debt, but something like, I don't feel like paying this month. Give yourself grace. All of that works. That's why I'm saying mine was 7 years. Some people, they can jump on it and they get it in 3 years. That's more power to you. But whatever your process is, just stick with it, and then stop the bleeding. Don't add any new debt. That's one of the first things is, I'm done with it. Or I'm already in this situation. Don't add anything new. You don't need, and that differentiation between a want and a need, right? Do I need this, or do I want? And if I need it, can I save for it? Is it an emergency? Because we got to define what a need is. I'm just going to put it on. Jackie, there's a psychological effect of plastic versus cash. It's well known, because if I have the credit card, I can dismiss or disassociate my feelings for it versus paying something in cash. When you give your cash, I'm telling you, it's all psych. If you do a cash, like, oh my goodness, but a credit card, I'll just worry about it later. But later is coming.
Yeah.
Later is coming. So that
Yes.
plastic versus cash. We did envelopes. I don't know if you remember that in the training, but me and Nisi, we had envelopes. Here's the grocery. How much you gonna pay for grocery? I took cash, put it in the envelope. Cash, cash, cash. And it was something about giving that person my cash. I'm like, shucks. It's a psychological effect versus that credit card. I asked everybody to cut up their credit cards and they almost cussed me out. but it wasn't a true cussing out. No, I need my credit card, but just cut them up. And some people did it. But some people, like you said, I won't be able to live. I've created a situation where I gotta I pay this one off and pay this one to pay that. No shame. That's where we are. That's fine. Okay. But where we are doesn't mean we have to stay there.
Right. Right.
Little by little. Don't try to it said a journey of 1,000 miles begin with the first step.
Both steps.
You don't jump. I got to get down to 990. You're not ready for. Go to step number 2. Step number 3. Step number. We're getting down to the 1,000 miles, but each step.
Yeah.
And that is so anyway. This is I love this. I love helping, and my encouragement is no matter where you are, you can start from wherever you are. You can. Everybody, wherever you are, you can start there.
Yeah, you're gonna say something here too.
Yeah. One thing that he told us a while ago about having SMART goals. And the S stands for make it specific, make your goals specific and narrow for more effective planning. So, like he just said, it don't have to be out the box. We have enough to get started. Start small. Make it measurable. Make sure your goal and progress are measurable. I can do $5. I can do $10. Don't do it outside my means where I'll get frustrated. Learn what I can do, what I can handle, and grow from there. Achievable. Make sure you can reasonably accomplish your goal within a certain time frame. He said 30, he said 90. Just do it within that time frame. Just do the receipts, track your spending, just do that specific time frame. Make it relevant. Your goals should align with your values and long-term objective. What you planning? What do you desire to see for your life? In time based. Set a realistic but ambitious end date to clarify task prioritization and increase motivation. And again, that's at 30 to 90 days. You don't have to go beyond that. Just start with that and see what you accomplish and achieve, because it is achievable.
Well, I am so happy to begin this conversation, and I hope this is not the end. But we gave you something to start with. I hope this has been enlightening. I hope this has been helpful. I recall the day that it helped me, and I didn't think it was nothing wrong with me sharing a piece of my life that someone helped me with, because we can go through life doing a lot of things, but if you're not content and you're stressed out, um, it's no good. And God want us whole. We working toward being whole. So um, this is part of it for me. This was part of my journey to be a road to wholeness. It wasn't just me going to church. It wasn't just me going to Bible class. It was all of it. God was concerned about every part of my life, and He's concerned about every part of yours. So, those of you who are watching, those of you who are interested in being whole. God is concerned about the total man. And that is something Bishop Wright teaches on, he speaks on, and we have several classes of it. And I'm pretty sure he don't mind if he got some literature, whatever tapes that he still could share. I'm willing to do that because I'm about helping people. We was raised to help one another, and that's what God is calling for. Be helpers one to another. It's not only the spiritual. Well, I let me make the difference when I say this to spirit, because some people have compartmentalized what's spiritual and what's this. All of it to me is spiritual because God concerned about all of it. But we have some natural things that we have to take care of. We're still down here on the earth. We still live in an earthly experience. So we got to deal with things. And God is concerned about all of it. And there's a way and there's a process and there's a start date and there's an end date to everything. But if you don't get started and if you don't change your mind, 5 years from now, you'll still be at the same place with the same thought processes. So, Bishop, I thank you. I think I don't want to hold people too long. I know sometimes the longer we go, sometimes you can't contain a lot because this is a forever journey. So we're going to start with the 30 days. We're going to start with the 90 days, whatever part you want to start with. But the one thing I wanted you to make sure that you start with, I want to change.
Yeah.
Make that decision. I want to change, and then start with if whatever little bit. Right now, I'm saving change. My brother-in-law, my sister, they started something years ago. I started something years ago. Most everybody probably have a penny bank or whatever it is, because I told myself whatever condition I was in, I could save. So $1 a month times 12 is $12. I know that's somebody gonna say that's all. Well, that's more than I had. It goes
Right.
to so whatever you could, if you could do a little more, whatever it is. When I break a 20 or 10, whatever change I have, I put that in the thing. So I learned to start some disciplined stuff. Start with where you can. My sister Darling used to pitch pennies in the street. Like she got rid of pennies. Like she didn't want the pennies. But 100 penny is $1. You have to change your mindset of how you think of it. Or that's not $1, that's not a nickel, but if you get 100 of them, you got $1. So it's the little changes that starts the process. So I I I don't know if you have any last word that you want to say, Bishop, but we gonna not hold you longer. We're not gonna hold the people long, but I pray and hope that you would continue with us and return to let us have some more dialogue about setting our finances in order. I think you taught or preached something about the 5 F's or 7 F's, but one of those was finance. You know, we like to have a lot of fun, but all of it comes together. So you can't forget that F, and that's
That's
a
right.
big one. People have divorced over finance. People have
Yes.
it is a lot of things that finance cause
Yeah.
when money is not right, when things are not right. But sometimes it's our own doing. And so that's what I'll leave with. Gil, if you got something to say, then I'll let him in the final. We're gonna let you know.
I'm glad you brought back up the word accountability.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be your accountability partner.
Okay, here she go. Okay, what y'all know on the Raw podcast, we got to have some comedy somewhere thrown in here. What you she gonna be? So she gonna that means she gonna remind me every day about that little dollar that I gotta say. But that's okay. I'm this time I'm ready. My mind has changed. Pastor, you got anything else you want to say and add? And I really thank you for this. It 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 brought back some memories for me, and then makes me want to go a little further with it, put my finance more in order.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we always say, repetition is the mother of learning.
Yeah.
So just hearing some of these nuggets again tonight has been refreshing. I appreciate and I thank you for it.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been great. I just have a quick closing charge, Jackie, and to echo what both of you have said. Let me just read this. So you don't need more money to start. You just need a decision. If you're overwhelmed, don't focus on the mountain. Focus on the smallest bill. Pay that off. Win that victory. Momentum changes confidence. Confidence changes behavior, and behavior changes life. So you may not change your income overnight, but you can change your habit tonight. And that's my final comment. I thoroughly enjoyed being with you both tonight.
Well, we thank you, and we're gonna do better. Those of you who are listening, I hope this was encouraging to you, that you can do it. We will do it, and we will get better with getting our life together. And my nephew is.
He said that.
Yola, I'll let you in. He let.
No, I mean. Sensory.
So, Bishop, we're gonna let you go. I think somebody's in my house downstairs, so I got to go downstairs. But y'all know wrong. We carry on. But we thank you, and we'll see you again, and hopefully that you'll return to help us out some more. And we thank you very much for being with us tonight. And as we always end our podcast saying,
Love God.
Love God.
Love
Love
family.
family.
Work hard.
Work hard.
And be
just
kind.
be kind. Y'all go in peace, and God bless.
All right. We are.